Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving deep into Eudora Welty's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, The Optimist's Daughter. Now, this book, it was first published in 1972, and it's not just a story about death. It's really a meticulous look at grief, memory, and that clash between a rooted past and a disruptive present.
Absolutely. Welty, she's just such a giant of Southern literature, isn't she? Giving us works like Delta Wedding, Losing Battles. And The Optimist's Daughter is, it's surprisingly compact. It's a short novel, but it carries this immense weight of family history. Our main character, Laurel McKelva Fans, she's a designer living in Chicago, kind of built her own life away from Mississippi. But she gets pulled right back into that world, back to Mount Salus, Mississippi, when her father dies.
Right. So our mission here is to follow Laurel's emotional journey. We start in this clinical New Orleans hospital, then move to the cluttered intimacy of her childhood home. We really want to explore how Welty uses setting and even specific objects to contrast Laurel's, deep sense of loss with the utter chaos that her father's second wife, Faye, brings.
And that contrast hits you right away. The story doesn't kick off in Mississippi and not in that familiar setting. No, it starts in New Orleans. Laurel's there with her father, Judge McKelva. He's the optimist of the title. And Faye, this second wife, he's only been married to for about, 18 months?
Yeah, and that opening scene, the eye specialist's office, Dr. Cortland's office, it's just masterful. It lays out all the dynamics. You got the judge, he's 71, retired, and he's downplaying his condition. It's a slipped retina. He frames it playfully, joking about seeing flashes of light, saying it's just him seeing behind me because of some...
Bird frighteners Becky saw fit to tie on the fig tree.
Exactly.
And Becky is Laurel's mother, his first wife, who's been dead for years. So in one sentence, you see his connection to the past, to Becky. It's comfortable, almost cozy part of his everyday references.
He has this continuity. But Faye, his second wife, she's the total opposite of that continuity. She's described as small, pale, and completely dismissive of this medical emergency. She's thinking about shopping, about carnival.
Laughs at his condition, tells him to leave it to nature. It's like she can't grasp the seriousness at all because everything is filtered through her own immediate wants. His illness is just an inconvenience to her trip.
Yeah, it really foreshadows what's coming.
And then there's that other layer with Dr. Cortland, the family friend. He's reluctant to operate. He even tells Laurel privately he was sorry about your mother, hinting that Becky's eye problems were part of something much bigger, much more debilitating.
Suggesting that long-suffering Laurel witnessed with her mother.
Right. So they go ahead with the surgery, the retina repair. Dr. Cortland thinks it's a success. He's actually elated, says the eye is beautiful, healing.
But then, while the judge is recovering, lying there with sandbags around his head to keep him still, he just collapses. Dies.
Just like that. A total shock.
Oh, yeah.
And Faye's immediate reaction, it just tells you everything about her world. She doesn't grieve the man. She grieves her situation, turns on the doctor, accuses him, "You picked my birthday to do it on."
Wow. Not sorrow, just this incredibly self-centered accusation.
Exactly. Pure transaction.
So then, the setting shifts completely. Laurel takes the train back to Mount Salus, Mississippi. She's bringing her father's body home. And we move from that sort of cold, clinical death in New Orleans to the messy, communal grief back in Mississippi.
Yes, Mount Salus is all about ritual. Laurel is met by her childhood friends, the bridesmaids. They're called community figures like Miss Adele Cortland. The house fills up fast. Friends from the garden club, the bar association. It's that established Southern way of mourning, trying to contain the big emotions through structure.
But even with the ritual, the grief itself is kind of messy, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have Major Bullock, the judge's old friend. He just falls apart, crying, getting drunk. And Laurel's mother's best friend, Miss Tennyson, she's trying desperately to keep everything under control. Grief is this sort of public performance.
And what completely disrupts this established ritual is the arrival of Faye's family, the Chisholms. They show up out of the blue from Madrid, Texas. Remember, Faye had told everyone her family was dead.
Right. And they're just loud, casual about death. Mrs. Chisholm talks about her son's suicide almost proudly. They just barge in and take up space, a totally foreign element.
And the detail about Major Bullock contacting them. Because the judge had apparently scribbled them all down for me before the trip, just in case Faye needed them.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. It shows the judge trying, late in life, to give Faye some roots, even roots totally alien to his world.
That clash of cultures gets even clearer during the eulogies. The Mount Salus men, like Major Bullock, they start trying to well, mythologize the judge. They make up stories about him being a crusader, facing down the whitecaps, these old vigilante groups, turning him into this big Southern hero figure.
And this is where Laurel starts pushing back, isn't it? Quietly at first, then more directly. She says her father hadn't any use for what he called theatrics. She sees they're not honoring the real man. They're just creating a convenient legend.
And that invention contrasts so sharply with Faye's demand for literal separation. She insists the judge be buried in the new part of the cemetery, near the noisy highway, far away from Becky's grave. It's like she's deliberately trying to sever his history.
And the coffin is open, Laurel notes, because Faye wanted it that way.
Which leads to that absolutely shocking scene at the funeral, right by the open coffin. Faye just breaks down, but it's all self-pity. She cries out, "Oh, Judge, how could you go off and leave me this way? Why did you want to treat me so unfair?"
It gets worse, right? She actually screams at the coffin.
Yeah, she escalates screaming, "Judge, you cheated on me, and why did you do me so bad?" Just pure melodrama, no real love there, just out of age about being abandoned.
And Laurel, watching the Chisholms watch this, realizing they are part of this great interrelated family of those who never know the meaning of what has happened to them.
Exactly. They can't grasp complex grief. They just react loudly.
Okay, so after the funeral, the external chaos starts to die down a bit. Faye announces she's leaving, heading back to Texas with the Chisholms. Riding off in her green high heels, she says, eager to see her brother DeWitt because he speaks my language.
Leaving Laurel alone. Alone to do the much harder, quieter work. Closing up the house. Packing up a life.
And this is when Laurel has to reckon with the physical past and her own memories. She starts cleaning the judge's desk, his big Edinburgh desk, and she finds something, or rather she finds an absence, something profound about how her father dealt with his own loss.
Yes. She discovers he got rid of all of Becky's letters. Every single one. Gone. He dealt with his grief through erasure, not by holding on to things.
That's huge. It suggests he was already kind of sanitizing his life even before Faye came along. And Faye's mark on this desk, a trail of bright red nail polish drops, vermilion, which Laurel painstakingly scrubs away, literally trying to remove the evidence of Faye.
And right here, this is where it gets really interesting. Laurel gets trapped in the house by a storm, a really bad rainstorm. And suddenly there's this bird, a chimney swift, loose inside, frantic, battering itself against the walls.
Oh, that's such a powerful image, that physical chaos of the bird mirroring Laurel's own internal panic. She feels trapped, too, by the storm, by her own anger that she hasn't processed.
Mm-hmm. And in that moment, she realizes what she really wants, what's driving her underneath it all. She wants acknowledgement from Faye, acknowledgement of the cruelty Faye showed the judge in the hospital right before he died.
But Faye just isn't capable of giving that, is she?
Not at all. She doesn't have the language, the depth, the empathy. So Laurel retreats. She goes into the old sewing room, which was her childhood room, a sanctuary, and she finds these old objects, these emotional artifacts, a little soapstone boat her father carved for her mother's old reader, McGuffey's fifth reader, things heavy with her original past.
And that forces us, and Laurel, to confront the really dark part of her history, her mother's final years, the blindness, the strokes, the awful paranoia, and Becky's last words to Laurel. Just crushing. You could have saved your mother's life, but you stood by and wouldn't intervene. I despair for you.
Ooh, that's the weight she's been carrying, this feeling of failure, of not saving the person she loved most. It's what's kept her stuck, and her internal storm peaks when she weeps. She has this vision of her dead husband, Phil. He died in the war, crying out for the life he didn't get. I wanted it. She's just surrounded by these ghosts, unlived lives, unfinished duties.
And then the final confrontation, it centers on a physical object, right? Something Phil made.
Yes, the breadboard. Her mother's old breadboard, handmade by Phil, described as tongue and grooved, sound and beautiful, a symbol of craft, of love, of domesticity, and she finds it completely desecrated, gouged, gnawed by rats, marked with Faye's cigarette burns.
It's like the intersection of all her losses, isn't it, Phil, Becky? And the destruction brought by Faye, the destruction of that soundness.
Exactly. Faye comes back then, or maybe Laurel waited for her. It's a bit ambiguous, and the confrontation happens. Laurel calls her out, not just about the board, but about how she treated the judge. And Faye's defense is just stunning. She says about her behavior in the hospital, "I was trying to scare him into living."
Trying to scare him into living, it shows such a complete lack of understanding.
Total lack. Laurel finally gets it. Faye truly lacks the passion or imagination to grasp what she's done. She operates outside Laurel's moral understanding. You can't hold her accountable in the same way.
So Laurel picks up the breadboard, this heavy, ruined object, and she's ready to use it, like a weapon against Faye, against the chaos.
But she stops.
What stops her?
The memory of the child, Wendell, Faye's little nephew whom she'd looked after briefly. That memory of innocence prevents the violence.
And that leads to the novel's core realization.
Yes. Laurel understands she can't carry this thing, this ruined breadboard, back to Chicago. It's too heavy, literally and figuratively. She realizes the past itself, the actual events, the people. They're impervious. Done. Fixed. You can't change them, can't wake them up, can't fight over them anymore.
But memory's different.
Memory is vulnerable. And because it's vulnerable, it can live, it can move with us, it changes, it breathes.
So her release comes from leaving the object behind, choosing living memory over the dead weight of the past.
Exactly. And her real sense of continuity, that confluence she finds, isn't about fighting Faye or holding on to things. It's an internal memory, a shared memory with Phil from years ago. Riding a train, seeing the rivers join near Cairo, the bare trees, birds flying in a V.
That shared moment of faith, feeling like we're going to live forever, that's the memory that sustains.
So the resolution isn't about punishment. It's about Laurel freeing her hands, letting go of the tangible wreck to hold on to the living, vulnerable memory.
So what does this all mean? I mean, that final accusation from Laurel's mother. You could have saved your mother's life. You wouldn't intervene. That haunts the book.
It really does. And Welty leaves us thinking about that. How much of our lives do we spend trying to fix past failures, especially failures to save people we loved? And how does that sense of duty change when we accept that the dead are impervious, they're beyond our help now, and only our memory of them remains vulnerable, alive, and needs tending?
Something for you to consider. If the past is fixed, how do we choose which memories we carry forward? The beautiful, vulnerable ones, or the painful ones that demand something from us? Which ones do we let live?